So we're now coming to the final section of our case study, and it's a Unit 3 worksheet. All of the information to the questions can be found in the Unit 3 section of your manual. You need to score 9 marks to pass this worksheet, and therefore you need to get the minimum mark for each question. Please make sure you understand the verbs that are being asked. So if a question says why, make sure that you're including a statement that justifies why something is important. If the verb says explain, you need to make sure that you're writing a sentence that does explain the question or the answer for the question. If it asks how, you can write a short statement. The same applies for if the question is what, then you can write a short statement. So the first question, why is it important for clients to understand the advantages of personal training? So you can see here I've written down, in order to grow my business and develop long-term change, it is key that clients understand the benefit of PT. Each client will see a different benefit, including motivation and periodization towards achieving goals. So your answers don't necessarily have to be textbook, but they do need to be logical. Your assessor may ask you some questions just to check that they've understood what you mean. If they do so, they may write the question down here, ask you to sign and date it as the question was asked and what your answer was. Why is it important for a personal trainer to work with clients to agree goals and objectives? So I've given the answer here of agreed SMART goals act as a contract between the trainer and the client. Goals must be agreed before a plan can be designed. Explain the importance of long-term behavior change in developing client fitness. So I've put here behaviors must match goals. Subtle changes, sometimes drastic changes in behaviors, influence the effectiveness of any program. Take my client for example. So David, he first adopts changes in behaviors, especially around training intensity. Think back to it. He hadn't completed any structured training for a while. So the first bit of behavior we changed was to get him to train 2 cardio days per week, 2 resistance days per week, with set training intensities. We also supported that with some nutrition changes, which were to cut down on sugar in the short term in his coffee. So we set down short-term goals, then we moved into medium-term goals, and then long-term. And then we maintained these behaviors. And it was those changes to his behavior that were really going to help him develop his fitness. How did I get my client, or how do you ensure that clients commit themselves to long-term behavior change? By completing SMART goals, by staying in communication with the client, by motivating the client. What is informed consent? Well, informed consent is the agreement to physical testing and the transferring of information between professionals. The next question, why should informed consent be obtained before collecting information from a client? Well, if I didn't complete informed consent, and maybe I took my client's blood pressure and my client had stage 2 hypertension, I would need to refer the client to a medical professional. Now, I wouldn't be able to do that unless the client had agreed to that referral procedure, which is part of the informed consent contract. So here I've put you could encounter the needs for medical referral during the data gathering stage. How would you select the most appropriate method of collecting client information? Well, the first thing I would do is ask the client which is their preferred method of information or collecting it. If it's a PAR-Q, unfortunately, they need to complete that PAR-Q. So I've put here, ask the client where possible, apart from things like a PAR-Q. Name 2 medical conditions that will prevent a personal trainer from working with a client. Well, if we don't hold exercise referral, we shouldn't be working with the morbidly obese, which is anybody with a BMI above 30. We also shouldn't be working with clients who have diabetes or who are recovering from coronary heart disease, because they would be outside of our scope. So here there's 3 different medical conditions that will prevent a personal trainer from working with a client. And the final question, question 9, when should you refer clients to another professional? When it's outside of my professional boundaries. So a 30+ BMI, a diabetic, or recovery from coronary heart disease all requires exercise referral or medical referral. My assessor will mark my score here. I need 9 out of 9 to pass. They'll indicate whether the work's been passed, and they'll write me some detailed feedback about the questions and the answers. Once you've completed that bit of work, that is your case study or your portfolio fully complete.